One of the things at Awethu that we do very differently than traditional early stage investors is we decouple the horse from the jockey, or the idea from the entrepreneur. The reason that is because we ran into this challenge headlong when we were trying to deploy our first fund or undertake our first micro-incubation project. So we were given the task of trying to identify 500 micro-entrepreneurs that could grow and scale their business, moving from informal to formal sector. And so we thought, fantastic. We had 20 million rand to invest in these guys, and we went headlong into recruiting individuals, and we actually took over 30,000 applications. And in the course of filtering those 30,000 down to, we found 512. That in itself was a tremendous fall off or sort of yield. But even amongst those 500 bright individuals with a lot of potential that we were keen to work with, only 5 or 10 had investable business ideas. So that was in effect market failure staring us in the face. We went from 30,000 to 500 to 5. And so then we had this problem of, if we wanted to invest in young, unproven entrepreneurs, how could we do it if they didn't have sort of bankable ideas or investable ideas? So we had to figure out a solution for the 495. We had to ask ourselves the question, if our goal and our mandate in really trying to democratize opportunity or maximize the number of entrepreneurial opportunities that people from non-traditional backgrounds could have, then we should be trying to make 500 bets, not just the 5 that traditional investors would be limited to. So we had to figure out a way, what could you do from an investment perspective to get a solution for the 495? What we realized is that if you could have great ideas for those 495 to work with that they didn't necessarily come up with themselves, you could get those 495 people actively working on early stage ventures and productively contributing to the economy. But that was the challenge, right? How do you independently identify great people and whether or not they come with a good idea? If they don't, independently identify great ideas for them to potentially work on, and then work on that special cocktail of mixing and matching them together where there's an alignment of skills, interests, and passions that don't compromise the likelihood of success. So that's precisely what we've been working on the last number of years now, recognizing that in emerging markets like South Africa, too few entrepreneurs come through with their own bankable ideas ready-made and ready for sort of early stage investment because of a variety of cultural, historical, educational reasons. In countries like South Africa, you have a huge lack of bankable deal flow coming through with horse and jockey together, right? It's unlike other startup hubs in the world like San Francisco, Boston, London, Tel Aviv, etc. You have education lagging, and from lagging education, you have a lack of exposure, right? So one of the questions I always ask my team here is, how could anyone ever come up with Uber if they've never owned or used a data-enabled smartphone? It's nearly impossible, right? So the question is, though, if you have access to education and exposure through other means, like your team and like our networks, you can actually source high-quality ideas at scale and actually groom them and prepare them for people that are high potential, highly motivated, highly ambitious young entrepreneurs that may not have come up with the idea themselves. And that mixing and matching, being able to bring them together, actually put new jockeys on new horses they might not have found themselves, can actually overcome this deal flow problem. In effect, we can manufacture our own deal flow by putting ideas and people together. So now when we look to deploy our early stage funds, we aren't constrained by waiting for that 30,000 to 500 to 5 and only being able to invest in the 5. We work hard on creating 495 other opportunities so that we can make 500 bets at the same time.